Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a movie review, and the movie we're talking about is Child's Play. Child's Play is a remake of the 1988 film of the same name, and it is also a reboot of the Child's Play franchise. Child's Play is directed by Lars Klevberg and stars Aubrey Plaza, Gabriel Bateman, Brian Tyree Henry, and Mark Hamill as the voice of Chucky.
Good night, Andy.
In this film, Karen buys a companion toy for her son Andy after realizing he is struggling adapting to their new move. This toy is a smart, AI-powered doll known as the Buddy Doll. Almost immediately, Andy and his buddy doll named Chucky hit it off and become very close friends. Unfortunately, like most things, the good times do not last for long. Chucky begins to malfunction and goes to extreme lengths to ensure that he and Andy will be friends until the end. When this film was first announced, I was beyond hype. All I had to see was Mark Hamill was voicing Chucky and I was on board. I mean, the man is Luke Skywalker. He was the Joker in the Batman animated series. He was even in Avatar: The Last Airbender as Fire Lord Ozai. Like, are you kidding me? The man is a living legend.
Without Batman, crime has no punchline.
And Aubrey Plaza in a horror film? Yes, sign me the hell up. I've never been a massive fan of the Child's Play franchise. It never really was that scary to me. But what I do respect about this franchise is that it eventually stopped taking itself so seriously and veered off and became this dark comedy horror slasher genre because it was pretty entertaining. The deaths were very gory, everything was hilarious, and it was just not the best, but it was good. It was entertaining, like I said. So when I walked into this movie, that's exactly what I was expecting. And it is sometimes. Before we get into the negatives of this movie, let's talk about the positives. The best part of this movie is by far Mark Hamill. I mean, he's just phenomenal. Every single scene he's in, I just found myself laughing. He was so compelling, even in the more emotional scenes with Chucky where he feels hurt because Andy is kind of drifting off away from him or the humans aren't really understanding why he needs to be friends till the end. It was just so interesting. I really enjoyed him. Aubrey Plaza also did a fantastic job. It was nice seeing her in a role that isn't completely comedic in nature, and I think she did fantastic. But Gabriel Bateman as Andy, absolutely fantastic. I think that was one of the most entertaining and interesting child acting performances that I've seen in a long time. He just did a great job. He has a lot of facial expressions that convey so much emotion. He had a lot of dynamic to his character, and he nailed it every single time. Brian Tyree Henry was also really good. He might be my favorite character in the entire movie. He was just really entertaining. He was smart. He was not the typical like dumb detective, which I feel like a lot of horror movies kind of get that trope on, but he just isn't. He was very smart, and I think he was super entertaining to watch on the screen. Unfortunately, where this movie begins to fall apart, and I'm starting to feel like I'm sounding like a broken record at this point, is the narrative because it's super inconsistent. Like another movie I saw earlier this year, it just doesn't know if it wants to be a comedy or a horror, and it doesn't even do a successful job trying to blend the two together. There are scenes that are scary, and then it just turns into slapstick humor, and even the humor changes up a bit. Like it goes from dark comedy to cartoon humor to genuinely funny humor, and it just doesn't know where it wants to lie on this spectrum. And don't get me wrong, I really do love a horror comedy. I mean, one of my favorite movies that I saw this year was the perfect mix of horror and comedy. And some of my other favorite films are like The Evil Dead, Shaun of the Dead. They all do a fantastic job balancing both of those genres together and making it into something new and whole. This film just doesn't do that. The opening sequence to this movie, and don't worry, I'm not getting into any spoilers, sets up how Chucky came to be, and it's completely ridiculous, and that's totally fine because that's what the franchise turned into. Very tongue-in-cheek, dark humor. But after that, it goes into like a serious slasher movie, and then it goes back to being slapstick humor, and then it goes into cartoon humor, and then it goes into scary again, and it just doesn't ever feel consistent. And that's the problem for me. The inconsistency honestly made it very difficult for me to suspend my disbelief, and that was the biggest fault of the entire movie. Because if you want it to be a horror comedy, perfect. You want it to be a slasher, straight up horror movie, amazing. But when you don't know what you're doing and the scales are kind of tipping back and forth and never really feeling balanced, it's not successful. It was not a hit in Child's Play. Fortunately, the death sequences are as gory and entertaining as to be expected. So if you were worrying about that, no worries. It's pretty darn gross. I found myself cringing at a lot of the scenes. But then again, the inconsistent tone is just so frustrating because you'll have a really cool death sequence and then something will happen at the end and then you're just like,
That doesn't make no sense. My man.
are we horror or are we comedy? I don't understand. And then of course we have to address the elephant in the room. Yeah, that's pretty bad, and I did not like the design whatsoever. It doesn't look any better in the movie. I thought we were going to use some practical effects to balance that out, and no. There are some pretty atrocious CGI moments that are just completely inexcusable. It looks very, very cheap and very, very bad. And yeah, it's not good. He is one ugly doll.
You stupid bitch, you filthy slut!
Overall, you guys, Child's Play was okay for me. I would not go out of my way to watch it in theater again. I think the only way I would watch this movie is drunk with a couple of my friends and at a Halloween party or something, or just around Halloween in general. It was very meh for me, and I was pretty disappointed. If you like the Child's Play franchise, you like slasher movies, horror movies, you'll probably find some entertainment in it. If you wanted something that was going to exceed the original, it doesn't do a very good job at it. It's pretty much on par. It's a little bit better because, in my opinion, the first movie is not all that good. I think Chucky being an AI-powered doll is pretty different and an improvement on the possessed killer doll, but it's still not much of an improvement at all. And this probably is setting up for a new franchise because that's what a lot of reboots do nowadays, and if it happens, okay. But hopefully they nail the actual horror comedy blend because otherwise this franchise is just going to be as dated and stale as the original. Well, you guys, that pretty much sums up this video. If you liked it, don't forget to click that little like button. If you want to see more reviews like this in the future, don't forget to click the subscribe button. And if you are already subscribed, don't forget to click the little bell notification. You'll be notified whenever I upload new content, and you'll be the first person to know about that. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you watched this movie, if you liked it, if this review was helpful. Anything is greatly appreciated. I love hearing your feedback, you guys, and I love having a dialogue with you all. So please leave something in the comments and let's have a conversation. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you for the support, and I'll see you next time.